I'll go ahead and
You know that it's recording. Then I'm gonna share my screen here. Okay. Okay. So some of the things that, that are real, and I'm just a big time blocker, first of all. So I believe that time blocking gives you control of your life. And I hear lots of times people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I can't get that done. Or they forget about things that they have to do. And so this is just stuff that's really helped me kind of always stay on track. Not always, but most of the time. So who or what kind of controls your time? You got family, kids, work, projects, to-dos, things that come in on the fly. And it's like, you can only do so much in a day. And it's hard to decide kind of what you're going to do, but it's easy to push family aside because they're forgiving. Your kids will understand. Work's important. So your priority list gets discombobulated, and the family's always kind of at the bottom and yourself even below that. So one of the things is, when's a good time to start? Anytime. Doesn't have to be the first of the year. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to do this grand big production. You just need to start now and start taking back control of the time and of your life. And this has really helped me a lot. And I'm pretty consistent about doing this and controlling my time. It makes overcommitment easier not to do. It kind of gives me a good idea of where I'm out of sync in my life and what I'm allowing to take up my time. So you want to put on your calendar, the first thing is time to plan. It's like, you don't just sit down and time block. You have to give it some thought. You have to kind of have a plan. So I always do what's called my yellow pad brain dump, where I just sit down and I just write all kinds of things. It's like my thoughts or goals, dreams that I want to have, vacations I want to take, wish list of things I want to get, to-dos that need to be done, things that need to be addressed. What if this happens, then this happens. And you just kind of dump it all out of your brain. So your brain is empty of all the nonsense. And now it's ready to formulate a plan and put things into action. But it's hard when you don't kind of dump it out of your brain. And a lot of times I'll wake up in the night. Sometimes, I don't know if you have ever done that, just where you kind of like wake up in the night and you're like, oh my gosh, and then I forgot to do this. And what about this? And it's like, then in the morning you wake up and you're like, did I dream that? Did I forget stuff? So I do that a lot of times, even first thing in the morning. I just kind of dump my thoughts out so I can get focused and put those thoughts to paper and come back to them later. So this is truly me. I have legal pad. This one's not yellow, and I just write things, and it's like, I come back and it's like, oh, that was a good idea. Then I can put that into my calendar. I can decide if that's something I want to take up space in my life. And this just is like, oh, that's just kind of nonsense. And it kind of helps you decide what you want to give time to. Because time is something you can't get back. It's not something that you have extra of in a day, right? Although I always talk about inheriting time, and Dave always kind of finds that funny. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but this is just a great idea to dump it all out. And then you want to get clarity on those things that are important. I know that my family and my kids and my spouse, those are the most important things to me. And those are things that I need to spend time on and invest in. I can't just expect that relationship to be there because, oh, I need to go drop everything and go show this person out. I know we were going to go to dinner, but sorry, we can't go, right? And then that just kind of always snowballs. So I just get clarity about the things that are important to me. And then I make sure that I reevaluate weekly or monthly or every 2 weeks, whatever works for you about that clarity. I look back at my calendar and see my color coding, and we'll talk about that too. but I look and see what controlled my life. Did that really happen? Did I need more time for that? Did I take time from somebody and didn't give it back? What do I have to adjust in order to keep those clarities of my priorities? So and that's people kind of time block and then like they don't go back and look. So I always go back and reevaluate. And the planner that I use that I love, and I've just got my new one. Hold on, let me show you. It's called the Passion Planner. So Dave actually introduced me to this. Dave Johns did probably, gosh, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it is, you can get it online, but I like the bigger size, but it's kind of got your weeklies, your to-dos, what you're focusing on this week. Then it's got like your top things for the day, and it's your personal and your work to do. And then at the end of every month, let me just show you, it's kind of got a monthly reflection where you can reflect back and just ask yourself these questions. So you always want to make sure that you have time to evaluate what you're doing, where you're spending your time and what you're doing. And I usually order mine like October and kind of start time blocking that my annual events in there. So once you have clarity, and people always ask, what's the best calendar? The one that you're going to use is probably best. Now I do keep a paper and I also keep a digital. And the reason I keep digital is so that Jason knows what's going on. And I share my calendar with him. And it drove him nuts at first when everything was color coded. But he just, if he wants to look and see what I'm doing, he kind of knows what all my colors mean now. So, but any calendar that you're going to use is your best. And I write it down because to me, I'm committing it to memory by writing. When I put it digitally, it's like, it's not quite there. It's like I put it in and kind of forget about it, but when I actually have to write it, color code it myself, it kind of makes that seem, it just commits it more to memory for me. But whatever one you're going to use is the one you should use. So the Passion Planner is the one I use, and Google Calendar is my digital. And I loved it when they started allowing, well, that probably only been about 2 years, I think, maybe, since you could start color coding. So the colors aren't the same. So what I did was I adjusted for what Google had. So my Google colors are the same colors as what, or very close with what goes on my paper calendar. So when I look at them, I'm looking at the same color, so I know what all that means. So this is color coding. So it just makes it easier for you to see what might be out of kilter. So if I'm looking and it's all red, I'm kind of super heavy in one area, right? Or it kind of tells you what you might need more of. If I'm looking and pink is my color, because that's what I picture me, and I see like 2 pink in this sea of all this other, I go, I have to have time for myself, whether that be morning meditation, get my hair done, whatever it is, you have to fuel yourself in order to keep going. You can't just empty your tank all the time and never fill it. My kids are appointments on my calendar, so they are all blue, are my kids. So wrestling events and school programs and whatever, anything that's blue, I know that if I take it, I have to give it back if that's one that I'm flex on. So it just kind of it lets me know how much I'm really working. It's like, oh my God, I'm working so much. I'm at the office from 9 to 5 and I just didn't get anything done. If I really go back and color code my day of what I did, and Facebook and Twitter and checking TikToks and all that crap, that's not really business. It's like, oh, well, shit, that was like 3 hours of the day, because that just takes you into a rabbit hole. It just really lets you know how much you're really working. And maybe you're working too much, maybe you're not working enough, maybe you're not working on the right things. But the more focused you are on the activity that shows up on your calendar, the more you will accomplish in the day and the less time you will find yourself actually working with available time to do the other things that you desire. It'll also tell you how much training you're getting. If you're not getting any training, it's always a good idea in your job to get training, to be trained. It's like, if you've never been to a team meeting, those should be on your calendar. They happen every week. It's not a surprise when they go, we have a meeting Tuesday. You're like, what? It's like, oh, I can't make it. Well, you've known about them for every day, every week for a year now or whatever. And so I always kind of laugh when people just go, I had no idea. It's like, comes up every year, comes up every week. It's like, yeah, if you plan, but they don't plan for it. That's why it's such a surprise. So if you plan on attending, put it in your calendar. Well, I have a closing. Your closing could have gone in before or after if that was important. And maybe that's where you go, okay, well, that's not important for me. Okay, well, what is important? Because let me tell you, if you were going to a concert, you would put off your closing to go because you spent all that money on a ticket. But your education or your family should have just as much value as any of those other things. So it just really kind of helps keep you in check. And then when you look at it over the week and you can make adjustments. It's like, God, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was doing that. Right? Well, then adjust next week. It's not a bad thing. It's just a learning thing. And it just kind of, so when I look at my calendar now, I can go, ooh, I have too much of that, or I don't have enough, or, what am I missing in my week? Because I don't see a color. So that's why, and every year my colors, they all stay the same. I don't change my colors. So I can just take a quick look and see what is out of kilter every week. So that will help a lot with your time management too. And if I know that I'm doing this activity, if I'm doing all my social postings for the month, then I know that's what I'm focused on and that's what I do. And if I can do that in 2 hours, then I'm done for the whole month. But what we find is if it's not on our calendar and it's like, oh, I need to do those, I need to do them. Okay, well, then they don't happen. And it's like, oh, I didn't do it. Then we beat ourselves up because we didn't do it. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, so now we're not doing it at all. And it really just kind of helps with consistency too. And if you do it, yes, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I noticed on here that it time blocked by specific tasks for the day, like a follow-up day, meeting day. Do you do that, or do you spread your activities kind of throughout the week? What do you find helps you?
So what I look at when I do that is I look at what already other activities I have put in the week or in my calendar. So for example, when I'm doing it, the first thing I do is calendar all the events that are unchanging in the year, birthdays, anniversaries, any of those people that matter to me that I want to be, maybe every year I go on a vacation this weekend. So I put that weekend already in my calendar, so it's not available to schedule anything. So once I have those in, then I kind of look. And for me, and we'll kind of get to, but my family is my priority. So I do my family, and my real estate just comes in pieces. So, and I'll kind of show you, let me see. So here's some things. So here, time blocking, your annual events, everything that happens every year. If you're going to take a vacation this year and you're going to take it in June, get it on your calendar. Because if it's not on your calendar, June's going to come, you're going to be like, oh, dang, I thought we were going to try to get a vacation done, right? And not just the vacation, but time to plan it. Are you just going to go that week and that's the week that everybody's going to be available? Or maybe that's the same week you go every year, but you don't know what you're doing. You just know you're going. Okay, well then plan a time to check out the vacation spots, check out Florida, check out California, check out Colorado, whatever. So you are doing that on your calendar so that you're doing those specific things. And you're like, okay, so in January, we want to know what week we're going. Okay, so who do you determine that with? Okay, so then you're going to have a meeting with your husband and your kids or whatever, and you're going to pick the week. Then next time, maybe you're going to put on your calendar in February that you're going to do research. But if you put on your calendar, you'll get to it, you'll do it, and it will be smooth and it won't be so overwhelming. So, and that's the same thing in your business. If you're going to do a client event, you want time to plan your event, time to think about what you're doing. You want time to execute it. You want time to do the postcard. You want a deadline for the mailing. You want a deadline for callbacks. And if you put all of those activities on your calendar, it'll You won't forget, you won't get bogged down, you won't, and it'll just help everything go smooth. And then you can adjust and go, okay, that timeline didn't work this year. What was wrong about the timeline? Okay, my postcards didn't go out. There was a delay in the mail. Okay, so then next year, I'm going to do the same pie event. So now I'm going to adjust my time, and I can already put that pie event. Thanksgiving comes the same week every year, surprise. Then you can do that and already have it planned out and have adjusted what didn't work. So next year you don't have to think about, oh my God, what was my problem? What happened? It's just consistent, right? And it's ready to go. So I also put on my calendar my me time, and then my business, what, when, and how often I plan to do things. And then all the other activities in my life. So my big rocks, what are your big rocks? That's probably your family, your kid, what are your big rocks?
You want me to answer?
What are your big rocks?
I would say definitely my family.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't so much this year, but I definitely want to include more like personal time, self-care time. Yep. Different. I did not do a good job of that this year. So definitely time with my husband, family time, taking vacations.
Yep.
And
so you
me
put
time.
all those big rocks in your jar and see if you do your business and then you're like trying to squeeze in your rocks, they don't fit in the jar. But if you put your big rocks in and then your business is all the things that fill in the other time, then you can get it all in a jar. And it's not overwhelming. You're not trying to, oh, what can I take out to get it to fit now? What do I have to sacrifice? What do I have to give up, right? You don't have to if you do big rocks first and then do the little part. And I just do it based on the value. What's the highest value? What's the next highest value? And what's the next highest value? And I'm not saying that people's business can't be their highest value. It certainly can be. But for me, it's my family. If I didn't have a family, I would probably have a different mindset of what's my number one priority, right? But if you always do those and then you put it in, it works. And just when I always think about that big rocks and then the little rocks and, just that concept here, it doesn't work if you do it the other way. It takes over your life. So just some helpful tips that I always try to do, and that has just always, and other people have suggested these things to me over time. My spouse has an appointment on my calendar. If you call me and I already have an appointment, I don't need to tell you what my appointment is. I'm so sorry. I already have an appointment on Wednesday evening, but I could do Wednesday afternoon. I could do first thing Thursday morning, but Wednesday evening is already unavailable, right? But a lot of times what we do is we go, oh, that's just dinner with my husband. That's all right. We won't go, right? I'll go do that. And then pretty soon you're not going anywhere with your husband or your kids or whatever. So it was brought to my attention several years ago that to put my family on my calendar as an appointment. I don't have to explain what that is. So my kids are an appointment. If I set it up originally, I did like once a week with each of my kids when they were younger. Now it's not quite that way because they're older, and spending time with their mom isn't like keen on their list. But and they got pretty good to negotiate. I'm not telling you can't give that time up or change it, but you have to give it back to them. You can't just be like, okay, we won't go today. Well, when are we going to go then? And that's what then you have to put that event on your calendar. And so my kids got pretty good at negotiating time. If I really had to do it, and I would only do it if it was like, okay, we're going to lose the house, this crazy market. And I don't do it very often to them. So when I do it, I explain to them why it's so important. I don't just say, hey, I got other things to do. It's like, these clients are, we've been looking at houses. The one that looks like they're going to want is going to pop up and we don't want them to miss it. That's what helps put food on the table. That's what helps us take our vacation. So I'm going to, I need to see if you will trade time with me this week. So we could do whatever it is that we're doing on a different day. And if they say no, you got to figure out how to get your clients to change their time. And I've gone early morning. I've gone late night. I've been at the office at 1 a.m. writing an offer. I've been, at 9 o'clock doing things at the office at night because My kids said no, or it's an event we can't change. So, and my personal life gets on my calendar. So if you want me time, you need to schedule that. My nail appointments, my hair appointment, my massage, just my morning me time, or if I'm reading or meditating, that's all on my calendar so that I actually do it. When it's on your calendar, you seem to do more and go like, oh yeah, I'm going to read in the morning. Oh, life got a hold of me. I didn't read. Oh, I'll start tomorrow. Right. But if it's on my calendar, I feel more committed also. And then the other thing is use pen versus pencil. So a pen is an unchanging, unflexible event that happens. My birthday cannot be a different day of the year. My anniversary cannot be a different day of the year. And if I'm celebrating my anniversary, I kind of don't want to celebrate it a week early necessarily, unless we're doing something deal. And so I always treat my family and myself as pen items. Pencil are things that are flexible and can change. I could do lead generation in the morning, or I could flip that if I have to adjust time and do that in the evening. So anything in pencil is flexible. And that really kind of helped me learn to say, thank you for the opportunity, but I am unable. I'm so sorry. I already have an appointment then, but if I look at it and I go, okay, I already have an appointment, but let me see what I can do, and I'll call back and say, okay, I was able to move things around and we can go. Your clients are more appreciative and they know that that you do care about them. It just kind of helps with that. And then it's like, I have tried to move them and it's just an event I can't move. So I can come in right beforehand. We can come after if you want to go later. We can go first thing early. And then I give them some options to be flexible, because if they have to be life happens for them and they call me, I'm not mad. I understand. But then when life happens for me, they also understand. But for some reason, we have taught our clients that we can just come and go at the drop of a hat and be there and whatever. And it's like your kids and your husband be damned and your life, because they expect you to be there and then they're mad. Well, mine, they'll wait for me to come there. My good clients and people I've done business with over the years will wait for me to fly in to Kansas to do business. And I'm like, if we can't wait, I get somebody to show the house and then I try to make it work, but they know that I'll do that for them and they are happy to wait. So, and then if you remove something of value, you have to replace it. And then do your monthly reflections and recaps on kind of how your month went or how your week, if a month's too long at first. And then nothing is required that you don't want to be required. If you don't want to do it, and it's not something that you're going to do in your business or do for family, then it doesn't even need to go on your calendar. You're not going to make me put an event in my calendar to do for my life that I don't want to. Right. So when they go, well, I have to, I have to go to this meeting. That drives me crazy. I have the opportunity to go to this meeting and get some additional training, or I have an opportunity for networking. I don't have to do any of those things. And I tell my kids the same thing. Do we have to go? No, it's an opportunity for you to go. It's not. So just by changing my mindset, I just realized I don't have to go to that training. I can say no. If it doesn't fit in the clarity of my values and my time and what I have available, I just don't go. But a lot of times we overcommit and don't even realize we've overcommitted to things. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize I scheduled like 3 things to do at 1 o'clock today. Well, this helps me kind of control that a little bit better. And a balanced life is a happy life. If you are all one direction, it's just not going to work. Someone is suffering, whether it's you, your family, your business, whatever it is, it's going to suffer if things are out of kilter. If you're all one direction or one or the other, so if you're balanced. And do you see, like, this to me is like my family is my big rock, and all those other little things that I can accomplish will balance my life out, but I don't have to sacrifice any of them. I just have to be focused and mindful of what I'm doing and be specific in my activities. And that just helps me and I think we're better people when we're balanced. Because if we're giving up all of us, we're doing it, but then we become, kind of not really hateful, but we're like, it's like, oh my gosh, we just regret doing it. It sucks. I love getting up and doing my job. I think if I was out of balance, I don't know that I would love it. Would feel like I have to go. This is so terrible, and so I just feel like when we're balanced, we have a lot of other choices to be happy about. So really, that's kind of time blocking and things to do and put together when you're blocking your time. So do you have any questions or things you want to talk about?
No, I think everything was good, and kind of just reinforce some things I need to go back and look at. I used to have a paper calendar because I learn better by writing things down.
Right.
If I'm typing notes on my laptop, I can guarantee I'm not going to think about them after I exit out the window.
Right.
So I think I am going to go ahead and buy a physical calendar and just reflect that onto my digital calendar. I think it'll help me kind of think through my day a little bit better, just because that's how I learn.
And the bold calendar is good as far as it helps you, because it's about your why, it's about your activity, it's got the 411, it's got other things inside of it. The reason I like the passion planner slightly different is it has the monthly reflection and it has space for my personal stuff. So, but any calendar you use works.
And I saw you had put on there your 411. So after you do your 411, is that what you kind of use to set your time block schedule?
Yeah. So when I do my dump on my yellow pad and I go, okay, so I need to do mailings and I need to do this and that. And then I go, okay, so mailings are a priority. So then I kind of mastermind myself around my mailings. What kind of mailing do I want? Okay. So then I'm kind of writing some options down. Okay. Then when do I want to send it? How often do I want to do it? And I just kind of start doing, and it's like, okay, so I need to spend time to design it. I need to figure out who I'm going to mail it to. I need to get it printed. I need to get it to me. I need to get them addressed. I need to get them mailed. Okay. How long is that process? Am I going to give myself to get that done? Am I going to take a week? Am I going to do it on the second Tuesday of every month? So if it mails on Tuesday and I have to backdate how long it takes to get from the printer, then I have to go, what day do I, when do I want to design? So all of those activities should be on my calendar instead of just going, I need to do a mailer. Because then by the time you get to that time slot, you're like, mailer, okay, what am I going to do? And you're kind of figuring it out and you're thinking about it. And then your time's all gone and you're like, okay, well, you're going to not do your mailer because you didn't weren't ready, right? Or you're not going to do the next thing on your activity because you're in the middle of your mailer. So that's why it's kind of like plan to plan. It's like you need to consider all things that need to be done. Do you do any kind of an event for your business? Do you do the pie event or any of those?
I have a Christmas event, for instance. Okay. I do like drop-offs to all my clients, and I do know next year I do want to do 2 client events.
Okay. So when you're doing your Christmas, you kind of pick your day. And I always have a day just to kind of sit and like dump and think about, and maybe, I start mine kind of in October. So by the time January rolls, I'm already like doing or ready to do. I'm not kind of thinking about what I'm doing in the first quarter. I already know. So I would suggest you always kind of start a little bit ahead. So if you're in this quarter, then I would be thinking about activities for next quarter. And then the same, when the next quarter rolls, those activities are being done and you're putting your next quarter's activities on the book, on the calendar. So that when you're doing it, you actually have time. But it's like, it's not just the mailer doesn't just come up. So I'm doing a mailer. Okay, well, it takes a little while to label them, put stamps on them. So then you just kind of, how many are you sending? And you just kind of allow yourself that time on your calendar. And then the other thing is I also have like just some wishes, like, oh, I wish I had time to do this, or gosh, I would sure would like to do that. But it's not like it's going to happen per se in my calendar. It's not top priority. So I have, like, let's say I'm reading several books, and it's like, okay, so I'm reading the morning devotionals. And then if I have any spare time, I might read that book in the afternoon. So when I have a canceled appointment, I always talk about, I had just inherited an hour. Okay. And they were like, what does that mean? It means I already had an hour or 2 hours allotted to this client. Okay, so now I don't just fill it with miscellaneous crap. I look at my list and I go, okay, what were the one things that I wish I had time for, but weren't a priority, but if I had time, I would do them. And then that's what I do. I do those things.
And do you track that in your written?
Yeah. So when my written, I just cross out the appointment and just put inherited hour. And then I just look and see, and maybe I'm looking at my brain dump or maybe I want to go, oh, I wish I could go here or go, whatever. And then I just go do those things. They're not in the top priority. They're kind of at the bottom, but if I inherit time, that's what I decide I'm going to do. Is those things I wish I could do if I had 1,000,000 hours in my day. So when I get a time back that I already had given, then I give myself those hours. I inherit those into those ideas. And so I always laugh because Dave's like, what is that? He said I inherited an hour. They didn't come or they called and canceled because kids are sick and we were going to go look at a house for half a day. I'm like, crap, I'm going to the movie. I'm doing all these things that I normally wouldn't do, but I don't go, okay, now I'm going to do all these other. So it just kind of depends, but that's what I do. You can, okay, well, I'm going to do it to the business things I don't have time to. That's okay. Whatever you want to do with your inherited hour. It's not any more time in the day. It's just you already had allocated that. So now it's like free time, right? It's kind of like recess. And I treat it as recess. But you can do whatever you want with it. But that's what I do. I just treat it like a recess and I go do fun things I wish I had time to do that can't, or, maybe I want to go whatever. So I do that with that time.
Awesome. But no, I mean, you went through everything very plain and it was great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, I am absolutely time blocked. I love it. And what drives me crazy when people go, hey, can you tomorrow? No. I mean, if you want to ask me a couple weeks in advance, I can be flexible. I can move things. But I'm like, I'm not moving. Used to drive me crazy because they used to do back in the day, the capper lunch, like they'd be like, hey, we're going to capper lunch tomorrow for everybody that capped. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm already busy with time. How unprofessional I would think, and just really unrespectful that you would think that we who are busy and have lives could just drop everything to come to that. So now it's always kind of the same day every quarter, because eventually that's what they moved it to, because my people are busy and you can't just expect them to, because you decide you're going to be free tomorrow, go to lunch or whatever. And so, but it also helps me to go, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I am unavailable. My calendar is already full. Thank you.
Now, do you have
about me?
Do you have white space in your time block, or every hour is accounted for throughout the day?
No. So I might lead gen for 2 hours, or I might, think about it. So it's not always, if I don't just fill it just to fill it. So if I have activities that I'm doing, then I do that. But if it's like, I gotta be thinking about things just to be busy, I don't need that. So when I just kind of look at my thing, go, okay, well, I had a lot of hours I wasn't doing anything. So I can readjust this week and I can move those things, and then I could give myself all of Friday off instead of working, like coming in and doing something in the morning and something in the afternoon. I could fill my day because I want to only have a 3-day work week. So how do I do it in 3 days? And then you can just kind of shift all your stuff. And when I just find that when you're focused on the activity, you really hunt in and get it done, right? It's like you close the door, you're not available. If I don't have anything on my calendar and I leave the door open, people will come in, and not intentionally, but they will suck your time. And then you're like, oh crap, I'm late to my appointment, or I was supposed to be here. You just get lost in that vortex without direction for ourselves. And when the brain knows it's going to be busy, then it's easier to do those things, because the brain, we've already told it today, this is the things we need to accomplish. And so the brain is on task to get those things done. But when it's like, oh, I need to do this, but then you answer an email and then you do this and you do that. Let me tell you, people can wait. right? Nobody is generally going to die or kill
Mhm.
over. If you have to not make if you need a little, I can't do the appointment this morning. I'm sorry. I already have appointments, I can do this, or, let me see what I can do. It just gives you the option to make choices.
Mhm.
And even if I don't have time, I am not teaching my clients that they can call me on the drop of a dime and I'm rolling out the door.
Mhm.
For a certain few clients, I will, but that's
Mhm.
because we have a great relationship and they're return clients. But like, if you call me and want to see my listing, I'm not out the door in 10 or 15 minutes. And then whatever's on my calendar is like wasted. It's like, okay, well, what I have available today is this, or what, and then you just kind of look based on your color. What can you move? Can you be flexible today? Can you not? I'm so sorry, I cannot do it today. I can see if someone on my team can do it. I can see if someone in the office can show, and then you call somebody else to show it for you. And you say, I just need you to open a door. It cost me $25. Well, believe me, or 25 or 30 or whatever. But that's really cheap in comparison to what I might be giving up, because it's not just 20 minutes
Yeah.
for me, right? I'm shutting down my brain. I'm stopping my activity. I'm doing this, and then I can't get started the rest of the day. My afternoon's blown. So it really is way more than just paying somebody to go do it. And if you think about your leverage and options and new agents and different things that can do things for you, then why not use that? I mean, even in our rental business, I don't go do an eviction. I hire an attorney to do that. I'm not sitting there all day. That's what I pay you to go do. That's not something I want to do, nor is it something I find value in my life to go do, but needs to be done. And I'm okay to hire a professional to go do that, And so I just kind of pick and choose what activities I want to do that are important. And then I'm okay to leverage the rest out or figure out whether they actually belong on my calendar.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's all my questions.
Helps, and you can certainly reach out to me. I got my contact, and I'm happy to help. Or if you want to call and just brainstorm or talk about, kind of what things look like, we can do that too. Just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I do have your info, so I'll make sure I have it locked in my phone.
Okay, perfect.
All right. You have a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you before the holidays.
Will, thank you so much.
All
right. Bye.
Bye-bye.